Okay, now we are in the, I presume, the dining room of Jenifer's house, and she wants to show us the plans that Eric Lloyd Wright has drawn up for their new house.
Which is also called The Sky and Other Wonders.
It's called The Sky and Other Wonders. What am I looking at right here?
Okay, that's what you see from the street.
Garage.
And then this is the gallery space for The Sky and Other Wonders.
Okay.
And this is the elevation from the south, so facing Brisky's house.
Right.
And then this is what the actual house looks like from below.
Nice.
Yeah, I think so. It's got two curved
I like
metal
that.
roofs.
I like that. I like the way that breaks up all the horizontal lines. And this is from the looking south?
Yeah, that's what you would see if you came down the street from the other direction. And the gallery space is set off with blue because it always has been set off with blue for years. So
is this ever going to get built?
I'm certainly hope it will. Tomorrow, the way we are financing this is very unconventional. I won a lottery ticket. I got $1. Won another thing, got $2. People have been contributing amounts up until now, and I had $16,384 saved.
That's coming through that noise is coming through.
Because we like to watch Monument Valley and places like that. And
just a note to whoever views this: nobody was being murdered in the other room.
No, it was somebody robbing a train, I believe. So anyway, so we could have just thrown all of our money into a pot and started building the house, but the idea was that I was going to be able to show kindergartners, second graders, what would happen if you had $1. If you had $1 and you doubled it, you'd have $2. If you doubled that, you'd have $4. If you doubled that, you'd have $8. And we're now at the point where we have $16,384. And I just sold some stock in Texaco that my father left me, and now we're going to have $35,000. I can't remember exactly how it works out, but it's double that amount. It's like a pyramid, but the pyramid started at the bottom with one lottery ticket, and it's worked its way up. And we have amounts like the amount of money we got out of the Coinstar when we threw the whole jar in, or my sister sent me $4,000. She's the $4,000 amount. My other sister sent me $32. She's the $32 amount. So anybody who contributes to it also gets, like their name on a plaque in the end. And so we're just at the point where Charlie's stock went into it, and that was the $2,000. No, that was the $8,000 amount. So the $16,000 amount is coming from my father's Texaco stock, which I held on to, even though everybody said not to, because you were being unecological, but I did anyway. So then the next amount we have to get is $32,000 something like that. The $32,000 amount, I have a little equity that what do they call those things? Annuities. When I was a teacher, I could take the whole thing, I could put it into that, then we'll have $64,000.
Okay.
And then.
Okay, we just stepped out of the dining room after hearing her Ponzi scheme for building her new Eric Lloyd Wright designed
Thank
house.
you.
And we are looking northeast. It's a really overcast day, but down below is the 5 freeway. And we're looking across the way at what would be Mount Washington in the near distance, and behind that is Pasadena and the San Gabriel Mountains.
Yeah, and you could sort of see Mount Baldy a little bit. It's white on top.
Yeah, it won't show on the camera though. And we're planning.
I would call this smog, wouldn't you call that?
Yeah,
smog?
we have smog today. Again, now we're looking due east, and I'm just doing a slow pan around the neighborhood. There's a jungle down below us, a beautiful greenery. We're on the side of a hill, and across the way is Echo Park. That's an interesting structure up on top with the red tile roof.
That man, where did you go, that man?
And now we're looking south. It is like living in the woods up here.
Yeah, and some of these trees may even be left over from when there was a forest here, but a lot of it was cut down.
So that's the view from the balcony off the dining room. It won't record. Now it's recording. Okay, start again about the studio.
The studio is we opened up so that you'd get that's the Sky and Other Wonders logo there, the two skylights.
Okay, we're in front of the house now.
Right, and this was originally a electrical shop, and a lot of the stuff that we had there was we've still kept it. Douglas doesn't have to throw anything away. You might need it someday.
Yes.
So when we have the open studios in November, this will be all nice and neat, and you can walk through it and see all the paintings and everything. Those are my newest ones. Those 4 are of Joshua Tree, and they glow in the dark. They're very simple. And then the one next to them is the one of the LA River that was my thesis. And it's 12 panels showing the ridgeline of Legion Park as seen from the LA River.
Nice. I'd go in there.
And and we are a national wildlife refuge.
I noticed
habitat.
that.
You don't have to have much to do that. You just need a bird bath and a place for the birds to hide and a bird feeder.
So this house was built in 1926.
1926.
The only house up here at the time.
There was one older, and it's at the corner where Lakeview and Silver Ridge meet. There's a house that I think was from 1920, and all the rest of the houses on Lakeview that are older than us are from the early 20s, but that's about the size of it. Nothing as old as the house on Glendale Boulevard that we lived in before. Well, if you want to see some Alan Morris houses, there's...
Well, just tell me about the architects that have built,
Okay.
designed and built on this street.
Alan Morris built that house 2378. Do you want to walk up there or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me establish where we are first. To my right is Jenifer and Doug's house. And now we're going to walk up we're heading north on, where are we? Silver Ridge Terrace.
Silver Ridge
Avenue. And tell us briefly about this architect, Morris.
Alan Morris.
Alan Morris.
Alan Morris, let's see, he died 2 years ago at the age of 87. And I was trying to find him. The reason I couldn't find him was he'd moved to Yosemite. And he found being an architect pretty much untenable in LA. And he built, I don't know, probably a dozen houses on the street. Most of them duplexes. This house was the Murakami house, which a man named Murakami and his partner lived in until they sold it to Dave Patler and Machka, who was his roommate and girlfriend, I suppose you'd call her.
Now this is the house we were in earlier.
Right,
This is where
Dion Neutra house.
the Neutra house, where Ellen Jacob lives.
And both of these 2 houses were both Alan Morris. But at one time there was a huge cantilevered balcony on some of these houses. The difference between these houses, this one's been slightly pitched the roof because they had a lot of problems with the flat roof, and that one hasn't.
Who designed that house that looks like it has corrugated way down at the end of the street?
That's from fairly recently, 80s I think, and it recently sold, but it's right next to the Schindler house. It's not, the materials are interesting, but the house itself is pretty ordinary.
Let's go look at the Lautner behind us.
House.
The Gregory Ain house was what?
The Charlin house,
Okay.
Rose Charlin and her husband, apparently.
Now this is the new garage that was added on.
It was added on to look like the house, and I can't remember the name of I think her name might be Joanne Scharf. The Scharfs live here now. Bob and I think it's Joanne. And the original house is that way up there. And when she's talking about how many steps you have, in this neighborhood, there are people who have had to give their houses up because they had a toddler and they couldn't get them to climb all the steps. I knew somebody, we looked at a house one time where the toddler had
It's a handsome house.
hemophilia. And
dear.
there was no way that they could take a toddler who was that fragile up those stairs. So that's, sometimes the houses change hands just because people can't get up and down the stairs. And that's one of them. He doesn't have a funicular, I don't think. There is a funicular over there.
Now tell me about this house again.
Well, that's Sean Brisky built that house about 10 years ago. It's amazing. We watched every bit of it being done. In fact, he paid our water bill for a year so that he could use our vacant lot to stage the house from and do his grading. And it's got a huge, huge piece of concrete, anchors the whole thing, just slightly in from the driveway. And the whole thing is just backed up against this piece of concrete, and everything cantilevers off of there.
And this is the house where he has old tires that have been opened up and they're strung behind this window.
Well, he gets them off the freeway.
Back there, he gets them off the freeway.
They're truck tires where trucks have blowouts, and he stops along the freeway and gets them. Now, I don't know if he's had to get any more lately because I can't tell that he's added too much to it.
And then these panels in back, which to me look like a bad paint job, it turns out that it's frosted glass with what do you call them, peanuts?
Packing peanuts.
Packing peanuts put in there, and I suppose that's for insulation effect.
And also it's being reused. They're not fresh packing peanuts. They're supposed to be packing peanuts that have been unpacked, but he had to add to them. Yes. And he also he has a gray water system, and he's like planted all these trees for the shade. Every tree that's on here was planted. These ashes, the cottonwoods, everything. He brings them down, and in the last 5 years or so, they've gotten this big.
Ellen said that there's a basketball hoop in the living room.
Yep, there's more than one, at least two, maybe three.
What do you suppose the dark stuff is in these panels up in here?
Well, he took some kind of like the stuff you put underneath rugs, kind of, like a.
Oh yeah, matting.
Like that matting, yeah, and he filled it all in with that, and then he put the grid netting over it and embedded that shirt. And why, I do not know. But he's an artist too, as well as an architect.
I don't know if you can see that, but there's a shirt stuck up in there, spread out like it was ready to be ironed. Let's see if I can come on.
And they have their house is a wonderful space because it's got a kitchen that you can have parties, and people just walk around the island and help themselves, and it's just very conducive. Plus, he's got all these little meandering trails in here, so when people want to go outside, got the idea from them.
This is the entry to the house we were just looking at, and it was for sale, and it's already in escrow, $23.58.
You can see some of the problems he had with the netting and so forth up in there.
Yeah.
But that's all fixable. He just he unscrews it, fixes it, puts it right back. And that's mostly because the sun shrunk the stuff, I think.
Yes, I think so.
But it's all quite experimental.
Anyway, the neighborhood is full of interesting architecture.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure interesting people to go along with it, and it has a feeling of being out in the country, which you can get here in Silver Lake and in Echo Park in our neighborhood. Just go up a few streets and it's like you're in another area.
This is one of the first streets that had all the utilities put at the back of the lots.
Interesting.
That's one of the reasons that it looks so unimpeded. There's only, of course, it makes it very dark. Like she was talking about how dark when people come up here at night.
Yeah, there's no street lighting.
There's no street lighting. There's one street light down at the very end of the block, and I think there's one down at the other. Nothing in here. So people put these motion sensor lights on their houses. That's about the only way you could.
Well, I'm going to conclude this.
Okay.
And thank
Good
you for the
idea.
tour. It's a wonderful street.
And there's more to it. There's a Schindler and a Harwell Hamilton Harris and a kit house that looks like a Japanese pavilion too. There's amazing.
Lots of creativity up here.
Lots of it.
Not just an artist and a a professional performer that we have in front of us, but there are many other extremely interesting people that live up in here and in our entire neighborhood.
Oh, the lady at the end of the street that she was talking about, her aunt's house, has a picture of Stravinsky, I believe it's Stravinsky, sitting in their living room. They used to do the rooftop concerts there sometimes, so that's just an idea.
The city has 1,000 stories.
It does.
That's it.